Hello, my absolutely beautiful astrology soulmates, and welcome to your weekly horoscope for July 1st. Happy 7th month of the year. Really cool to continue to be here with you. And this week, I'm going to just spoil it up. Tuesday is a very, very, very busy day. We've got a lot moving in the sky as well. When we get to Friday, we're going to have this new moon happening in the vibration of Cancer. So straight out the gate, if you have not watched my video explaining the tale of 3 moons, it's really important that you go check that out to get a good understanding of what is coming into your space and how to work with it at this particular new moon, because it is not just a Cancer new moon that is hanging out by itself. It's not at all. This particular new moon is wedged in between 2 significant Capricorn full moons that are strung together to tell this story. So I'll make sure you check it out. Here's what the thumbnail looks like, and I'll also make sure it's at the end of this particular video, okay? Now, as we are going to be coming into this week, something to keep in mind on this particular video is that you can click in the description box down below and find the timestamps for every single day this week that you need to check out. So if you've got a presentation on Wednesday and you're like, what is the vibe for Wednesday? I've got it all broken down for you in the description box down below, where you can also check out my new link if you haven't seen me raving about my books from birthchart.net. Again, they did not contact me and ask me to talk about them. This is just such a cool product, and it's been really neat. We have ordered 5 more books for our family members, to include going back and getting the birth certificate information from my grandmother, who's from Heidelberg, Germany, and getting her story so that we can have her book as well. And these are so cool. And the reason I love these, if you haven't already heard me talk about them, is because it is your astrological chart, your horoscope broken down in this book, but it is written in common everyday language. So if down the road, my great-grandchildren don't speak astrology the way I do, they are going to be able to just open this and see my story. They're going to see, how did I speak? What was the sound of my voice like? What was my nodal story that I was working on? How did I love? What was the real purpose of this lifetime? And as an evolutionary astrologer, and we focus in the past life story as well, this is really cool to get to leave a little bit of lineage for my family as well. And so if that sounds like something interesting to you and you want your family to be able to know who you are, have someone witness your life and what you did, we're gathering here weekly, learning to grow spiritually, learning to grow intellectually, and put something into this world. What better than to let the people years beyond you witness your story? So make sure you check it out if that's something you're interested in. I've got a link in the description box down below. And I just have to share this with you because it was so cool. I started talking to you guys and really sharing this with you last week, and I always watch K-dramas and Chinese dramas and all this cool kind of stuff, and I love that stuff. And I was watching one, and the emperor was going back into the archives with his right-hand guy, and they needed to find the story of the great-great-great-grandfather and what was going on around, of course, a mystical dragon, as these things go, right? And they end up pulling a book out. I mean, they literally pulled the book out of the shelf, and I was like, oh my gosh, that is exactly the same kind of vibe for me. Anyways, little personal story, but it's in the description box down below for you. And also, these are the last few weeks to get the discounted packages with me if you want some one-on-one work, if you are wanting some guidance astrologically on your journey, how it's unfolding, where you're at in your story, and how to make it the best unfolding. That's what we do in those sessions. So if that's you, everything and more is in the description box down below. Okay, let's jump in and talk about what's going on this week. So first of all, as we are coming into the week on Monday, we're coming in with the moon in the vibration of Taurus. Now, the moon here is really emotionally how we feel. What is the tone and the temperament? The sun can be living its best life wherever it's at in the sky. If your moon energy is something that you're not able to connect with, we make emotional decisions through our sun energy, or we have reactions that come out through that sun energy, and it can really spin things sideways. So getting connected to what is the moon doing, especially women. Oh my goodness, right? We're susceptible to this lunar energy, right? That feminine portion. So what's happening with the moon in the sky, knowing what that is, knowing how to align with that, actually can be a game changer. So as the moon is in Taurus, as we're coming in this week, it's brilliant. And the question is, where do I need to ground? How do I feel grounded and rooted so that I am stable? I know that I am secure. What in my energy needs to ground so that I do feel stable, steady, secure? Emotionally, am I consistent, or are my emotions all over the place? Because maybe something needs to be grounded here. Here's a great day today to create ritual around that. Look at the way your space, even in your home, your creature comforts, are providing you resources that fuel and nourish your stability, right? So whether that be the relationships in your life, is that fueling, is that nourishing? Are you fueling and nourishing a relationship? Your finances, your food that you're eating and you're bringing into your body, because everything is in that food, right? So are you eating a lot of processed things that are maybe creating an emotional or a hormonal imbalance in you in some way? And where can you ground? Not be perfect. Where can you root to rise in this particular area? Now, in an even more practical, which Taurus loves that word, kind of way, we see that on Monday, we've got the moon coming into a conversation with Mars. We also see that the moon is going to have a conversation with Venus. We see that the moon is going to come into a conversation with Saturn. These three conversations, as they play out on Monday, give me the vibration of, for us, that first of all, instead of using that Mars moon connection to just make a decision, to just do something. You know, I'm having an impulse sweet treat because I'm feeling something, very moon, right? Instead, it's like, well, what's going to give me long-term consistency? What action, Mars, can I take on Monday that's going to give me long-term consistency? Maybe I don't need to buy that thing right now because that is a lifestyle purchase, not an investment purchase that's going to help me build wealth. Maybe I don't need to say that thing right now in my relationship because that's not going to help me build long-term steady consistency. So with that Mars connection, it is, what can I do? What action can I take that will build long-term steady consistency, especially emotionally for me? And with Venus, whatever it is, Venus kind of softens the blow and attracts to us opportunities to create harmony, to negotiate the way we need to have some diplomacy. So Venus in this way is bringing that attraction energy. The moon on this day is also ruled by Venus. So there is a strong connection to what's going on here. But I do love when the moon makes this connection with Saturn, because that is the place where it's like, I am emotionally grounded into what I am doing. I emotionally am grounded into a practical matter that I need to take on that also demonstrates maturity and mastery. So on Monday, I think it is a great day to be about your business. Whatever your business is that needs to be handled, productive actions taken on this day can really be beneficial. But it is also, I think, a really strong business or doing things kind of day. So get at it on Monday. Okay, now Tuesday is a busy day. On Tuesday, we've still got that moon traveling through Taurus, which is fantastic. We're still nice and steady in that emotional realm, looking at where our energy is rooted and stable. But then we see Neptune step into its retrograde, going all the way until December 7th, okay? Now, if you have Neptune direct in your chart, the way that Neptune is working when it goes retrograde is that we have to think about it in terms of what it's doing when it's not retrograde. And that is, Neptune allows us to dip between the realities. We go between, whoa, that is like a lot. That's really serious. That's very tangible, right? Into, I just need a minute to daydream. Hold on, let me just tap out for just a second. And humans need this, right? The daydream, not just the full escape, the daydream is needed because we can't just do all concrete reality all the time. The human spirit just can't endure that. So we have Neptune and we move between the worlds. We create things. We have a fantasy life. We envision what we want in our ideal selves and our ideal lives next. And so that we can have something to bring into tangible reality. I always say, before a chair was an actual chair, it was just a vision. Somebody had a vision of not sitting on the floor anymore. Right? They're like, no, I don't want to do that. And somebody created chairs, and we have chairs all over the place now. So we need this Neptunian vibration. But also, Neptune can work in a way where it keeps us in a delusion or a vision that is not necessarily right. Like we have this idea and this ideal, but in the reality, we're not able to bridge that gap and bring it into tangible form. So as Neptune goes retrograde, if you have Neptune direct, the distance between the vision and the ideal that you've had and the truth of the reality of how close you are to that thing, it becomes very concrete. There's no dipping out. There's no dipping out until December. You're going to be in the reality, in the facts of things. What is really, like, you believe that you're this thing? Are you really this thing? The distance between how far you are between your ideal and your reality is what can make the Neptune retrograde really challenging, right? Because it's like, wow, I am a fair distance from what I've been thinking I was or what it was. So we're trying to move these two closer. Now, if your ideal and your reality are pretty close, it's still intense because it's like, dang, I'm not quite there. I haven't quite achieved that ideal. But it's not as painful or as shocking sometimes because the distance isn't so big. Now, the point is to strip away the delusions so that we can get in alignment or see the truth. I think really get humble about what we need to do to bridge those gaps, okay? Now, if you have Neptune retrograde in your chart while everyone else is running in, getting this big dose of reality, you are getting the dose of reality that you have to come out. You're like, that thing you've been introspecting and thinking about, or that way that ideal that you've been wanting to live has been delayed in an outward expression. It's just really been internal. Now you have to go out and demonstrate it, right? You got to go out into the concrete reality and demonstrate your ideal. And the nice part is between now and December, these things you've been thinking about, idealizing about, you might have an easier time with expressing them in an outward manner. So just remember to check your chart to see if you have Neptune direct or retrograde if you don't already have that information, okay? And like I said, we're all under that vibration until December 7th. Now, we're also going to see that Mercury is going to leave this vibration of Cancer and get ready to go into the fiery waters of Leo. But before it does, Mercury is going to come into a trine with Neptune, okay, who's just gone retrograde. Now, Mercury is our planet of the mind, our thinking, the way that we communicate, the way that we communicate, the way that we gather and share information. In the waters of Cancer, it's been about our emotional intelligence and our intuitive intelligence. How do I not just intellectualize my emotions, but listen to my emotions, understand the way that emotions and intuition communicate to me and to others, right? So we've really been in the emotional container. Now, as Mercury is in this trine to Neptune, who's ready to take its rest, we have this place to, first of all, listen to where emotionally we have developed those gifts over the season. Where can you hold more emotional containment and understand it? Where in social situations, familial situations, do you have a greater depth of understanding of the emotional and intuitive content that is there? I also think on another level, what we find out is, where do you honestly, at an emotional, not just in an intellectual level, derive inspiration from things? What honestly inspires you to move forward? So it's a great day. It's a great time to be writing, to be journaling, to be, making over the honest understanding you have of what inspires you at an emotional level. Now, we're going to get out of that emotional terrain just after that, and we're going to see that Mercury moves into the fire space, the fixed fire energy of Leo. So now Mercury is going to be moving faster. It's going to be moving more fiery, but it's also Mercury in Leo has this big, bold need to express. Because when you think about fixed fire, of Leo. Go to the Leo portion of your chart, and this is the part that is burning. Fire is not a subtle thing, and it is burning steady. So there's a lot of bold heat here that is going on. Okay, you're in the terrain of fire. So you want big, bold expressions, and maybe the biggest bold expression that you have is to say no, and to understand that no, thank you, are full sentences, right? That is a full statement. So whatever it is that is your big, bold expression, you've come from understanding a space of emotional and intuitive intelligence to going, you know what? That doesn't sit right with me, so I need to just say yes. I need to just say no. I need to express movement in this direction, and you're doing it like a leader. You are leading because fire leads in that direction. You're also in this space where the way that you communicate is willing to be center stage. You're like, I'm willing to say the thing. I'm saying what everybody's thinking. You know what I mean? I love other explorations and expressions of that is that you're like, I'm making this grand announcement of something that's going on in my life. I did all the work on Monday. I pushed go on that website. I'm launching a business. I'm launching a website. I'm pregnant. I'm not pregnant. I'm getting married. I'm getting divorced. I'm going to tennis. You know, whatever your big, bold expression is, but it is something that is coming and your heart is bursting to have this expression. Now, we do need to remember that fire is fire. So there is a space where you may be hearing some grand piece of information, whether it be from the news or somebody in your life, and you're like, whoa, that's a lot. And the a lot can be a surprising, shocking, kind of a lot, as people do. But it can also be really exciting where somebody tells you, I've been in love with you for a long time. And you're like, excuse me, what? That is fantastic information. You know, so whatever it is, there's a fair amount of new expression that's going to be on our table until July 25th and expected to be big and bold. Okay, after that, we're going to see that the moon steps into a period around 6 a.m., Mountain time, we're going to have some moon being in the void of course position. So remember that it's Mountain time, that's Colorado time. So you want to use your time zone converters to make sure that you're doing that change. Okay. All right. And just after that, we see that the moon shifts now into the vibration of Gemini. So the moon in Gemini, we want to talk, we want to communicate. And this is the thing to understand the genuine depth of what's going on here. It's not just that I want to talk and it's chaos and I'm being heavily emotional. Absolutely, that can happen. But when the moon moves into an air sign, we move into the space of the intellect and in communication. So in order to understand how we're feeling, we need to be talking it out. It needs to express itself in a communicative kind of way. So this is the point where you're not looking to just ground your energy. It's been grounded already. Now you're going, okay, wait. What decisions do I need to make? How do I need to talk through my emotions around this decision to make sure I'm being discerning and I'm making a clear, solid decision for myself? What do I need to learn about the experiences emotionally that I have just taken on? You know, where do I need to talk to people in order to process how I'm feeling or to gather new information? Where do I need to write? Where do I need to journal? Either way, the emotional contents for the next couple days are going to come in a very airy kind of way. Before the day is done, we see the sun coming into a square with the nodes, both the north and the south node. Now, the sun is bringing light, heat, life. There's a vitality. We're motivated in this energy. But squaring the nodes, first of all, the square is a 911 aspect. It says you need to do something. We need to take an action here. We need to do something. The sun squaring against that south node is like something needs to be done in your relationships. Something needs to be done in how you are relating to something. This doesn't work anymore. This relationship, not your relationship. It doesn't mean you need to end a relationship. It means that something about how you've been doing and relating in a relationship, whether that be codependency or losing your voice in your partnerships or not making space for your partner's voice in some way, right? Wherever you've been relating to things, it's not working anymore. So now we've got this other square going to the north node, which is like, I have to make a decision, Aries, to move myself into a different direction. I have to look at how I've been showing up in the past, look at this lesson from the past and go, okay, all that can come from that has happened. And now I need a different decision that will move me and propel me in a different direction in the future. But I have to take the step. Now, that North Node in Aries, I think is so bold and so beautiful because it's the universe going, it's okay. It's okay to have the courage to step forward. It's okay for you to see yourself different. It's okay to change. It's okay to say, I'm willing to fight for my life and my ability to exist. I'm willing to fight for this relationship to exist, but we have to relate differently. It is the this I deserves to live, damn it, kind of energy. Now, here's a cool thing. We've already seen this. You've already been here. We were here in July. Go back to January 11th. Go back to January 11th. What were you looking at? And you were like, whoa, I have to relate differently here. And I have to make a decision I have to conduct myself differently. So go back there because this is kind of a check-in point. Now we're going to see it again December 23rd. So you've got check-in points to go, how am I doing in developing this particular lesson? Okay. And that's going to lead us through Tuesday. Now, when we get into Wednesday, we see that Mercury actually has this opposition with Pluto. Okay, so Mercury opposing Pluto. This is the way that I think or something that I'm expressing, right? I'm expressing me. I'm expressing my best life. And we've got this big, grand expression in some way. It's very Leo, but it's opposing Pluto that is retrograde. So Pluto is coming back into some kind of Aquarian sense. It's moved back. We're in a review here. Something has been dying off. There's been a pain point. There's been a place where it's like we need to address this and let it die off so that we can live in a different manner. And we've got an opposition. So this can also be that something or someone is pulling your communication, your thought life, your change life into different directions. Now, in an opposition, we can continue to demand that we have it our own way, and that opposition gets tense and it's more. Can you feel this as I'm doing this? Can you feel the tension? It's not a smooth moving away from it. It's an opposing energy, and that tension has to break sometime, but it can go on for a very long time. And opposition can exist for a very long time. Now, they tend to be relational. There tends to be another person on the other side that is presenting a challenge. Now, with this particular opposition, with all oppositions, what we can do is find the sweet spot in the middle. Where are both sides correct? Where is Mercury in Leo in this big expression, this bold, fiery expression? I need to say this to keep my own home fires burning. This is about me being alive and vital. Where is that right? But also, where is Pluto retrograde going back in Aquarius? Where is the group and what's best for the group? Where is this also correct? So we want to find this sweet spot in the middle. Now, one of the best things that we can do instead of amplifying the tension and the stress that is here is finding that sweet spot in the middle. We can go, where do I need to have this conversation about the me and the we and how they can both exist? What needs to happen for them both to exist, which isn't as interesting. We're just coming out of the heels of Tuesday being like, I can't relate like this anymore. My relation to others, to circumstances, to information is not correct. I have to go in a bold, different direction that I choose to take myself. But I also need to investigate here, Mars, Pluto, how I'm going to get there. I can't have surface level conversation anymore. What's below the surface? Mercury, Pluto is a great research. Find the information. Look at it from a different perspective kind of aspect. So you are able to do a little bit of digging and get below the surface. And you're looking for how you inch these two together to create the integration of the big me and the changing we. So let's think about this also here on Wednesday at a societal level. Where is it that you're like, I want this in my life, in my community, in my world, my company, my culture? But it can't just be about me. What also is the changing we expressing, and how do I fit my own voice into a changing we? This is a great day to bring that there. On a global level, it's a day where we could find out that that information is particularly suspicious, right? Like, that is particularly questionable, and what will we do about it? Okay, and the moon's already in Gemini, so we've got a lot going with revealing information and sharing information in the first place. But Wednesday, the information I want to give you is, while there is tension, there can be the stresses that are there, it is a day to look towards how can we create collaboration and cooperation on this day? How does that need to happen without both parties being smothered, but instead creating an integration? Okay, that's Wednesday. That's a lot of energy. It really will be. Now, as we roll into Thursday, first of all, it's going to be the 4th of July in the United States. So happy birthday to the United States if you're following that particular chart. And we're going to see the moon step into a void of course vibration, and give us a space of rest. So as the moon goes void of course, from this Gemini position where we've been talking about it, moving about it, being about it, needing to communicate what we're feeling, how we're processing this kind of information, right? Now where the moon moves into the vibration of Cancer. But right before it does that, at this void of course time, at 2, where this is going to be about 2:50 Mountain Time, PM. You get a very short little window where you're going to go, okay, for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to just pull myself together. I'm going to journal, right? I'm going to talk to myself. I'm going to talk to the universe, and I'm not going to be trying to force a situation to be what I think it's going to be or what it needs to be. I'm not going to let anybody else force me to be what they think I need to be. I'm going to make no big decisions for the next 20 minutes, and I'm just going to have a full surrender to me and the universe. Just coming back to center, coming back to my breath for the next 20 minutes. And I'm giving it up. I'm giving up the fight for a minute. And then the moon will shift into Cancer. Okay? So we're coming back into this place. Emotionally, the moon is in its prime. It's in domicile. It's in power in Cancer. So we're coming back to, okay, what do I need to nurture in my own home to continue to go forward? I get an emotional fresh start. Cancer. Cancer is a cardinal energy. So I get a fresh emotional start here, fresh emotional perspective, fresh intuitive perspective here on Thursday of how I'm going to go forward. But also it's the question of emotionally, is my own house in order? Right? Do I have my own emotional house in order? What do I need to nourish at home, physically in my own home, in order for me to be well? To feel secure, to feel nurtured, but also in my home, in my family unit, with the women in my life, in these structures that make up domestic peace. Where can I have fresh eyes, fresh perspective, and a fresh start? And I want to just share this example with you. As a mom, first of all, I can have these moments with my children where I really do have to have an emotional fresh start to allow them to be their own people, not the vision of what I think that they should be. I also need an opportunity to hear, Moon in Gemini, what they have said to me, to gather information of what they've said to me, their plans, their goals, their dreams, their desires, their things that they're struggling with, their things that they're excited about. And as the moon then comes into Cancer, I get an opportunity to have a fresh perspective on how to engage and nurture them in a way that allows them to build a safe and secure structure within themselves. At the same time, I get to shift my perspective on how do I do that with my family, my husband, my mother, the dog, right? Like, how do I make home safe and nurtured, and what do I need to be safe and nurtured within that unit as well. So it's really a brilliant day on Thursday to have this experience. Please let me know in the comment section down below, when the moon goes into Cancer for you every month, what is your experience? I know a few of you have shared with me, you're like, when the moon gets going over here in Cancer, I'm sideways. I'm feeling a little bit sideways, and I don't necessarily love that particular energy. It's more challenging for me. So is it an easier energy for you, or is it a bit more challenging? Now, when we get just the very next day, we see that the moon has come into that Cancerian vibration. And now we're going to have the new moon in Cancer. Okay, it's going to be at 14 degrees of Cancer. So this new moon, it's a new moon day. The energies maybe feel like, what is going on? Something's in the wind. Something's on the vibe. I know something's coming, and I know that I know that I know, and I know that my knowing is correct, but I can't quite put my finger on what that is that's changing, or that little emotion that is over here percolating at me. I kind of like it. It's kind of scary, but I'm not sure exactly what it is. That's okay. We're planting seeds of intention here at this new moon at 14 degrees of Cancer. So make sure you grab your chart and you see, where does 14 degrees of Cancer live in my chart? Where exactly am I trying to plant seeds of intention to have this fresh emotional start anew? Where am I planting seeds of intention to begin a cycle? And again, make sure you watch my video on the Tale of Three Moons, because this is the day and the time where we see that I have the opportunity to plant at an emotional level a seed that is going to be so important. I can commit to making important family, emotional, root level, ancestral changes here, because I'm trying to bring something into concrete, tangible reality. I want to leave a legacy in some way. I have an ambition for something in the material plane, but I haven't quite been able to see what emotionally is standing in the way. And today, and with the buildup of the energies I've been learning in my lesson plan this week and over the last months, I can see where I can commit to nurturing new plans and designs at emotional levels, understanding an emotional pattern or an ancestral pattern that has been in me. I've been living, I've been working with it, and now I don't need to do that anymore. I can learn and be taught to outgrow that and have that emotionally fresh perspective. And that shift of energy will create a benefit to our lives that touches us, touches the women of our lives, of our communities, is a nod to our ancestors, to the past, to those women and those family, those lineages where we're making a change, right? We get to do it. We get to get those emotional patterns out of the way. And then at this next full moon that we're going to see at the 21st, we're like, I'm clear. I'm much more clear on how to bring this legacy piece, this ambition, into a tangible reality, because I can understand the emotional place that I've either needed to outgrow, change my dynamic with, or embrace, right? Sometimes you can't bring that business into reality because you don't understand the emotions of who you're serving. Why are they deeply connected to why they hang out with you? Why would they choose your solution? Why would they choose to work with you? Sometimes we can't make these changes in our families because we don't understand the emotional content of where that came from and where it's driving. So this is a precious, concentrated set of 3 moons that I can tell you here on the 5th, dip in, get all the way in, allow yourself to be shown, allow yourself to make this fresh start. Now, again, if you're watching that moon, you're going to know that this moon is not happening in a vacuum. It's just not, right? This is going to be a fresh start that will pour out over you all the way until October of 2026. These are those kind of delicious changes that you're making. Now, on the same day, on the 5th, we see that Mars and Saturn come into this sextile at this particular moon time as well. A Mars-Saturn sextile, I love it. Because Mars, I think of as like that teenager energy, that youth energy that's like, I do what I want. And Saturn can be that adult or that wisdom, that timekeeping energy that says, no, friend, you are actually not infinite. In human form, you are finite. So these two can be the teenager or that youthful energy taking on that Saturnian energy. But in a sextile, these two work together and go, wait a minute, I have a pocket of opportunity here and I'm intelligently going to take action. Mars, I am intelligently initiating and taking actions of change that will Saturn benefit me at a spiritual level, will make the informed changes that I need to make that will sustain for years to come. I absolutely love it. And it also is a nod to understanding the emotional changes, the changes in our family, the changes in our lineage that we will make here, the changes to spirit will take persistence. They will take endurance, and I have it in me to make those changes. I absolutely love this. Saturn here provides such a delicious spiritual structure for us to work with. And remember, Saturn at this particular point has been working in these Piscean waters 4 months now, putting and bringing crystallization to your spiritual structure, to the belief that you have in yourself, that you are valuable at a spiritual level. You're like, I believe it today. So I'm also attracting to me the healings that I need, the people that I need, the shifting the vibration so that I can have the experiences that I want to have. It comes at a deeper level, and you've got that spiritual weightlifting energy in you to get it done. I absolutely love it. Okay, that rolls us into Saturday. We're coming in early in the day. We're going to see that on Saturday, we've got Venus coming into a square with Chiron. And again, I love this in the story of the week because Venus, the way that we attract things into us, squaring against Chiron, right? This new identity that we've been working with, this new belief we have in ourselves. We're not just working from an old wound or an old story anymore. Venus here, it's literally like this square creates a restructuring of your energy, right? It's like it has rewired your vibration that you're like, I'm not that old thing anymore. I'm not willing to carry that old story. I don't need it anymore. But it's not in this hustler kind of way, right? It's in this way that is like, I just understand today in my heart why I don't need that anymore, why it's not the best for me, or why it's not going to help me move forward so vulnerably, with my heart open, with a new vibration, calling a new experience to me, calling new health to me, calling a new reality and a new identity to me. I go vulnerably forward, but I'm willing to square. I'm willing to take this on. I'm willing to face this vulnerability. I'm willing to repair those old relationships. I'm willing to be taught how to repair those old relationships. This new identity that I have is willing to look at my money habits and go, okay, maybe it's not the best that I could have done, but it is what I did. And today I don't need that anymore. And I'm willing to be vulnerable and feel around this and be willing to create a new identity moving forward. I'm willing to love myself in a new direction. I absolutely love the way that this fits into the story, and Saturday is a great way to experience that. Now we're continuing to see this moon energy that is now ready to move through Cancer during the day. It's still got that emotional and intuitive content to it. We're looking at those emotional patterns, but at the end of the day on Saturday, the moon shifts out of this Cancerian energy and into the vibration of Leo. So now at an emotional level, I'm willing to live with that childlike faith, right? I'm willing to live in my play. I'm willing to live emotionally in my joy and my pleasure. What lights me up? Where can I take it a little bit easy on myself? Where can I let others off the hook? Because we're all humans. We can all be jerks sometimes. What is fun? Emotionally, what's fun to me? When's the last time I allowed myself to not judge so much and engage in childlike wonder? right? Not childish, where I refuse to grow up. I'm still Peter Panning it up, but childlike, where anything's possible emotionally. I believe it. I tend to not just that inner child, but I tend to my inner pleasure, my inner celebrity, my inner boldness, my inner glamour that has to embody a courage, a regalness, a creativity as I experience my emotional world. What keeps my emotional home fires burning? I absolutely love that energy. So let me know in the comment section down below what actually keeps your emotional home fires burning. I have Leo in the 12th house. I love series. I love series. I love plays. I love dramas, right? I don't want any drama, but I'm totally happy to watch it. And it actually lets me dream. It lets me wonder. It lets me be bold, and it lets me create. And the other thing I really love to do, 12th house Leo behind the scenes, is I absolutely love to get on the floor and to roll around. It brings such a sense of play to me. It gets my fire going. I love to put on heels and do a little samba in the living room. I love it. It brings me a little fire, right? So let me know how your fire works. Now that energy is going to carry us also into Sunday. So take it. Be with it. Enjoy it through your weekend. Now, as the moon is going to continue in this very extroverted Leo form, though, it's also going to come into a conversation here with Mercury that's come into Leo. Okay, so now we're having this emotional and mental connection. So there may be expressions of love, bold expressions of love, bold expressions of pleasure. It could be a time that is just very extroverted. You're talking about things. You're really sharing your feelings in some way. You're feeling connected to the feelings that you're sharing, but there's a real expressing yourself. Now, the moon is still having to do with family. So there could be on Sunday some big family conversations or expressions that are happening. I hope it's you gathering around the table with people you love, whether it's family that you chose or the ones that you got. You're having a salad, you're having a bold dinner together, and you're expressing big love. But it can also be big expressions that are like, whoa, that was a lot. That was absolutely a lot. But just remember, whatever is boldly expressing itself here on Sunday is needed. Fire cleanses poison from our bodies, from the blood, from situations, okay? Sometimes if you let the fire push out the poison, it can bring down the inflammation. All right, my absolutely beautiful friends, I hope you have a gorgeous week. Please share your stories of what's happening and unfolding with you in the comment section down below. I can't always directly respond to every single one of them, but I do see them. And for every comment I see and I pop that little heart on it, there's a piece of me that just offers a little bit of light to your journey and is saying, I hear you, I see you, I'm witnessing your story. So please continue to share with me in the comment section down below. Thank you for being a part of this community. And if you're new here, welcome to the community. This is a good place. There's a lot of grace and there's a lot of love here, and you're invited to all of it. All right, beautiful friends, have a gorgeous week. I love you. I'll see you next week. Bye.